Okay, so what we're going to do is really quickly, we're going to go over some of the basics of creating a portfolio and in general working in Google Slides to make your presentations look more professional. When we work in textbooks are always aligned. So paragraphs are aligned with other paragraphs. If you look down the left side of the page or the right side of the page, everything is lined up. Pictures are usually aligned with other pictures, or they are aligned with text boxes. Also, we have page numbers that are put in the same places on each slide. Usually the same type of font is used for headings and the same size font. And if it's bolded in one place, it would be bolded in another. If it's underlined in one place, it would be underlined in another. And then usually the supporting text is sometimes the same font, sometimes a different font, but usually it is not bold, and usually it is the same size as other supporting text on other pages under other headings. So we like to keep things consistent as we use the portfolio. It gives a much more professional look. So when we're looking at this, the first slide says, before you begin, we're going to delete this slide before we submit. So no need to delete this yet. However, step 1 says to rename this file. Replace with your last name and first initial. So up here, we're going to do academic portfolio, and we get rid of the word template. So yours should look like that and have your last name, comma, first initial, period, and then the word academic portfolio. It says be sure to read the notes at the bottom of slides. And what that is referring to are on slides like this, where you can see that there is information on the slides that is meant to give you tips about our expectations, or it is a set of instructions of what to do on that slide. So be sure to read that, because on each slide there is important information. So for example, on slide 3 it says size 28 text is being used for the header on this page. So when we're here, that is size 28 text. And then it says continue to use size 28 text as the header on every slide. So on the next slide you can see size 28 text, size 28 text, size 28 text, etc. It also says on this slide, it helps to create a professional appearance to use the same size text. Size 18 bold text for subheadings. So this is bold and size 18. Bold, size 18. Bold, size 18. Bold, size 18. Bold, size 18. So notice the consistency remains. It says on this slide you should link the Honors Principles of Engineering words to slide 4, POE Table of Contents. So to do that, you would highlight the text, and then either you can do Insert, Link, or you can right-click and link, and it says to the next slide, to the first slide, and then it gives you a list of things that you could link to, slides in this presentation, for example. So I want to link it to the slide 4, Principles of Engineering Table of Contents. And now that is linked. And if I want to test that, I can click Slideshow, click that, and you'll notice it takes me to the table of contents. So that is hyperlinked. It says highlight the word, okay, slides and presentation. So next slide, again, we have instructions going along here. It tells you to hyperlink some of the things here. You'll notice that there is now something down here that says main table of contents, so you will need to link that correctly as well. Each slide has its information that is required. The project description, criteria, and constraints you will get from the design brief that was handed out in class. There's also a link to that on the schedule in case you've lost yours. STEM principles applied. Okay, the instructions here pretty straightforward, so please ask questions in class if you have them. One of the things I wanted to do here was to review the expectations for pictures. So here it says insert a picture, read the instructions at the bottom of the slide to ensure that you are meeting the expectations of only using a clear and optimized image. The image must have the DE, DR labeled on the picture. Use paint or drawing tools on Google Slides. So I'm going to delete this text box, and instead I'm going to insert an image, and I have saved an image of a compound machine. So here I have an image, but as you can see, I did use the white background, but this is a pretty small picture. We like to have our pictures be as large as possible, because really what we're trying to relay to the viewer here is the information about the simple machine, in this case the gear train. So I would want to crop this. So first let's right click, let's crop the image, and let's get rid of some of this extra unnecessary background, so that what we're going to be left with will be mostly our gear train. Okay, and then that allows us to make this much larger. Now, Google Slides and PowerPoint all do something very nice now for you, which is to give you alignment tools. So we call these marching ants in PowerPoint, because it looks like a line of marching ants, that red line. But as you can see, what it's telling me is that it is aligned with something. So I prefer to align this one with the top of the text box, and then I'm going to enlarge it, but notice I'm not going to overlap the heading at the bottom of the page. Now, that's really kind of nice, because now I have a nice large picture of my gear train. I could probably even crop that a little bit more if I wanted to, just so I could focus in on the gear train itself. So maybe something like that, and like that. And as you can see, it's nice that I have this nice large picture here now. Okay. Okay. And then the other thing it says is that we can adjust things like lightness and brightness. And this is the case with a lot of times when we take pictures. Sometimes we get these darker pictures. So in Google, if you select the picture, right-click, and if you go to Format Options and Adjustments, you get a few options here, such as opacity. That is like how see-through it is. We want it like this. But we can update things like brightness and contrast, right? So we get a much better picture here, maybe. So something like that is kind of a nice picture. And now when we go to label this, it would be much easier. And I said you could label it either in Paint, or you could do it right here in Google Drawings, because there are various things that we could do. You could insert like an arrowhead, for example, and right, we could then make that larger. We can make that smaller. We can make it thicker. We could flip it, to match what we need. So then we could label various parts. We could change the color of the arrow itself. So there are a lot of things that we can do here in order to make this a little bit more easy to see for the viewer. And then we could go back and label that, like the input gear and the number of teeth. We could label the motor, the idlers, and the output gear, and then have room for our description. So this is just a little bit of the information that I've provided, but you can notice that things are aligned on slides. So like this text box is aligned with the text box that is next to it. The sizes of things are all the same. We are linked on slides. So that's the gist of really what I wanted to get through to you. If you decide to use a template, so if you wanted to, let's say, change the background of your presentation, and you wanted to put some kind of nice background, right? So we could go here, we could say change theme, and then we have all these different themes that pop up. What I would caution you of is that when you choose themes, let's say something like this, when themes have graphics on them like this at the top of the page, nothing that you ever put on this slide can overlap that graphic. Likewise, black text on here doesn't look great. Notice how this now is overlapping on this. I do not want that. This, for example, down here, I don't want anything that you put on the slide to overlap it or to overlap. So sometimes, like here, you can see my picture is now overlapping that. Also, my links are now hard to see because they're there. So, in fact, really what I'd have to do if I wanted to use this would be probably to move my links to a different spot. So it does create a little bit more work for me. And then this picture, for example, now I'd have to make it smaller because I don't want it overlapping, you know, that piece part of the slide. I want there to be a little bit of a border. And now the problem with that is I've chosen a nice slide design over having the picture easily viewed. And what's really important in this portfolio is that the pictures are easily viewed, less so than having a pretty background. So let's focus on getting everything on the slides that are required, and then if you have time, going back and choosing a layout or editing the layout so that everything fits nicely and neatly. And if you have any questions, please ask in class. Great. Thank you.